ladies, my name is Bethany Herway and I'm the Glamorous Housewife. Today I'm very excited because I'm going to bring to you what I am calling Poor Man's Panna Cotta, which is based on a vintage recipe. That's coming up next here on the Glamorous Housewife. This week's recipe is coming to us from this wonderful huge box of recipes from the late 1960s. I've been doing a lot of dinners, so I thought a dessert would be appropriate. And I found this corn flour mold, which looked, well, frankly, kind of freaky, and I thought it would be interesting to try it and see just how disgusting it would be. So I made the recipe as follows. In a bowl, add 1/3 cup cornstarch and a splash from the 2 cups of whole milk you have in your measuring cup. Mix to combine to make sure that there's no lumps and everything is starting to dissolve. To the rest of the milk, you're going to add 2/3 cup of heavy cream, some fresh lemon peel, and a little bit of vanilla extract. Bring that to a boil over a low flame. Once your lemon-infused milk has come to a boil, carefully strain it into the bowl of your cornstarch slurry. Be careful, it's hot. Stir to combine and things will thicken up pretty quickly. Add 2 to 3 tablespoons of sugar, put it back into the pot, and cook until thickened over a low flame. Carefully pour the hot mixture into your molds and then smooth with a spoon. Place in your refrigerator until set. When the mixture is cooled, carefully unmold them and place it on a bed of fruit cocktail. Gorgeous. When all was said and done, I thought it would be kind of a bland, sort of gelatinous concoction, but in actuality, it was quite delicious. It tasted a lot like a panna cotta or maybe a creme brulee without the crispy topping. Now, I thought it was a little too subtle in taste for something that I would normally serve at a dinner party, but the idea of using cornstarch to thicken something, really piqued my interest. I started to play with the idea of using coconut milk instead of the heavy cream and regular milk, and I have come up with the most decadent chocolate poor man's panna cotta using coconut milk, sugar, and cocoa powder. And I'm going to show you how you can make this at home. So the first thing I'm going to do is put in 1/3 cup of cornstarch. To this, I'm going to add a full 1/3 cup of cocoa powder. Now I am using expensive cocoa powder, I don't know how expensive it was, but it was fancy. It definitely wasn't the basic stuff that you can get anywhere. I went to a gourmet store to purchase it, and I think it really helps this dish a lot. Last but not least are 3 tablespoons of sugar. Now, I happen to like the bitter bite at the end of when you bite into chocolate. So if you want it sweeter, try it, and then you can always add more sugar. Stir it around just to get out some of the lumps, and then you're going to have 1.5 cups of coconut milk, and you're going to pour a little of it in just to weten the ingredients and start to dissolve it in the coconut milk. Then we're going to take the rest of the coconut milk that's left over, and we are going to boil it on the stove. Now, in the meanwhile, as you can see, I'm mixing together what we have in our bowl with the coconut milk. It's still lumpy, it's very thick, but we're going to add the boiling coconut milk in a moment. Once you've got your piping hot boiling coconut milk, slowly pour it into the mixture of chocolate, sugar, and cornstarch. Okay, I am just using this whisk to try and get out any lumps and to keep it as smooth as possible. Scrape the sides so you can get it all incorporated. Then what we're going to do is take it and put it right back into the pot we used to heat up the coconut milk. So we're putting it right back in. Then we take it back to the stove and let it thicken up over a low heat. On a low flame, you're going to start immediately mixing your mixture around so that it doesn't burn. Once it hits the heat, it immediately starts to clump up a little bit, but that's okay. Keep stirring. As it gets hotter, you're going to notice more clumps. Don't worry, keep going. Eventually, it's going to thicken up and become disgusting and lumpy. At first, I thought it was ruined, but I figured, why not keep stirring and see what happens? And it turns out that's exactly what you're supposed to do. If you just keep stirring, it will eventually become this beautiful, thick paste. Once you've got your chocolate mixture all thickened up and off the stove, you're going to take it and gently put it into, I decided to use just muffin tins that have been lightly sprayed with oil. I tried it with oil and without, and I found that it definitely came out of the molds better with the oil. Now this recipe is just for 4 because it's very, very rich and you don't want them to be particularly big, and I think these are nicer, for a small dinner party. But by all means, you could make this, double this, triple it. I don't think you'd have any problems whatsoever. I am using just a spatula and a spoon to smooth down the base. And then this whole thing is going to go into the refrigerator. It can even go up to overnight before we unmold them. And I'm going to show you how I present it. In the microwave, I heated up some raspberry jelly until it was loose, and then put it on the bottom of a dish. Next, I carefully slide the poor man's panna cotta on top of the jelly. Doesn't that look nice? Next, I sprinkled around some fresh raspberries. I think this gives a good texture and a fresh taste. Last, I added some pretty mint leaves. Voila! Much better than the original version, don't you think? And there you have it. Poor man's chocolate panna cotta with a raspberry sauce. As you can see, it was super easy. And let me taste it. So good. You get the creamy smoothness because there aren't any lumps. You've mixed all of those out. Oh, you're hit by that delicious chocolate fragrance, and then the sweetness and a little bit of the acidity with the raspberries is just perfection. I cannot believe that this is vegan. That's amazing to me. So there you have it. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of Making It Modern. You can see me anytime on my blog, theglamouroushousewife.com. every Wednesday here on YouTube, and if you subscribe to my newsletter, I put up a bonus video every Friday that can only be seen by the people who are subscribed. Thanks, ladies. Bye.